Good morning, everyone. Today is Thursday, the 28th of March. We're so happy that you've joined us. We are grateful to Charles, who prepared this presentation on You Don't Know What You Don't Know. And we hope that we intrigued you with that title because we're going to be talking about things that you may not have discovered in Dash before, that things that are available to you. You can take use of them. You can send them to your staff. It's just a wealth of information, and we're excited to show you that. So Charles, this beautiful slide deck is all your creation. Go for it.
Thank you, Saundra. So you don't know what you don't know. Thursday, March 28th, 2024. So just reading the slides, that's what we got. What is it that we're looking for? We're looking at two things, both of them called links, and they're both inside of Dash. So I go to the next slide. And so the first thing is underneath Home, there is a tab called Links. And in that link, we have videos. These are YouTube videos. They are not, they're not on our PayrollCentric webinars page. It's entirely separate from that. And these are designed specifically for two things. One, for the employees enrolling in employee self-service and accessing their check stubs or their W-2s. And you'll see, if you can see the little screenshot there, it has the ESS, how to enroll in ESS, how to view, print your W-2, so forth. But it also has links. Now, those are ones that you can just like click on the link and then share the link with the employee, and then so it's like how to enroll. Other ones are specifically for you guys, for the employers. We're accessing the payroll documents or the tax documents, and then also employee W-2s. So in that one is where you can actually go to the employee in Dash and find that, much like what we've been talking about in these webinars itself. But this is links where it's like if you have just a real quick click here and go and look at that, and it's just a step-by-step there. Now, the other types of links that we have are ones that maybe no one has really been using. Well, they have been using, but not from this section. So if you go to, whenever you go to payroll, you'll see on the right-hand side, you'll see the payroll status and the check date. Here it's the 4/1/2024, but it'll be whatever the next check date is. And you never, by and large, I've not gone over this with any of the trainings I've done. Most often it's not used, is there is a link called Tools and Calculations right underneath that. And you click on that link, and that takes you here. Now, some of these items here are not ready for production, right? And so I'm not going to be going over them. Just like we have the capability of putting in somebody who is a 1099-R, which is for retirement distributions, but since we don't run them, we don't use that. We have items in here that are, it's sort of like these are placed in here for the in the Dash portal because those are being added and worked on. They're not complete yet, so we won't be going over them, but the ones we will be going over is the manual check calculator, tax liabilities, and print back. And so those are the ones that I've circled right here, and I have them on the next slides coming up. So this one is the manual check calculator. This is one where you've probably gone to the home, you have that little shortcut key, and it takes you to where you go and put in the manual check. Well, this is where that resides. It resides in the tools and tools and calculators here is where it directs you to. Those shortcut keys will take you to another place. So why do we have more than one way to access this? It's for ease of use. If you've noticed that going through these webinars, going through Dash yourself, you will see that we have multiple ways to navigate to make it easier to use the system. But this is where, when you click on that shortcut key, it takes you. And so you would go in, and of course, we've had webinars on creating the manual check, just letting you know this is where that is. And then the next one is tax liabilities. This is one we haven't necessarily gone over, but it is something that may come up, questions is like, what's the tax liability? And that resides here. And it tells you what the liability is based on the check date, and you can even filter by the type of tax, and it will show you what those liabilities were for those check dates. Okay, you can include the liabilities and what the deposits is, which is basically the deposit is the payment made on your behalf. The liability is what your liability is, and so forth. So that's in here as well. And it's a great way to view this. Quick, look at what your check date was and what that liability was. And then the last thing, this is for our print back clients. And what is a print back client? A print back client is one where they print the checks on their side. We send them the check stock, right, with the micro numbers on it, and they go ahead and print using their printer of all the checks as soon as the payroll processes. Now, what this does for them is it does decrease delivery charges, and it does decrease the time spent in getting the checks, right? As soon as they receive the notice that it's been processed, they can go in and print those checks up. So again, it's a nice utility for ease of use. Now, when you are a print back client, on the home page, just like you have manual check, add employee, edit employee, all those things, there is a little shortcut key for print back, right, to print checks, and it takes you here. And this is where they would select the check date, and then they can print those checks, and just one or all of them right there in here. And that is the last option in here that we will go over. The other ones that are in there, you'll see what they say, retro pay calculator, net to gross batch entry. Those are not ready yet, but they are in development. And those are basically placeholders so that when they are ready to go, that's where they will be. That's kind of how they have to write this, is they have to create a space for that function and then build that function. So any questions?
That was quick.
Yes, like I said, we do like to make them quick. And this is one where, again, the one that Saundra was enjoying was the videos, right? Because those are very useful to go and real quick see both for your employees. If you have an employee who's saying, hey, I need to check my W-2, and you have employee self-service, you can just click on that link, copy the address, and then send it to the employees like, here's the information on how to do that. And it's a real quick way to do it, easy and to the point. And these are just useful tools. Some of them you could already be using, but this is where they reside in the Dash portal.
Okay, I don't see any questions. Oh, I do. Is there a video on hiring new employees? Tell me more, Cheryl. Do you mean a video on how to hire?
No, hiring's easy. It's setting them up in the system. It's just going through all the tabs and, making sure you don't miss anything because I always end up reaching out to Glenna and I'm like, God, did I do this right? And not that I've hired that many new employees since COVID, but it's more of that when you put someone in, there's just all the different tabs, and I am not a tax accountant. You know what I mean? And I always go, did I do the tax part right? So to me, that would be a really helpful, either like a seminar, or if there's a video on it, just saying you can skip this one, you don't skip this one, whatever, because there's just a lot of tabs.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Let's
Charles?
go ahead and look to see. I didn't take that now. Let me see here.
Well, Charles is looking
here. It's not in here, but we do have some webinars where we have actually gone over hiring a new employee and the different methods. There's the new hire wizard, which is the default standard. Then there's the onboarding version where they fill out all the information online. So we have gone over those, as well as what to do with changes to an employee, their taxes, that kind of stuff. So we do have those available on our YouTube website. And it is something that's like, if you're interested, we can actually send you the link, or you can subscribe to that website if you haven't already, we can show that to you, because it is something that's got a lot of steps to it. We have done in the past some job aids, or actually guides, if you will, where it's a PDF where it's like a step-by-step, click here, click there, that kind of thing. So
we can
that
send
needs
her that.
Yeah, and that does need to be updated, so we can get you a current version. But those are the different tools that we have available. So yes, we can go ahead and send you the link to the website, and then it's basically these webinars. We went over these in one of our webinars, and we want to make sure that anybody who missed out on that webinar still gets to review it, and so those should be up online in our YouTube channel. So we'll go ahead and send that over to you. And when you do get that and you do log in and you do see those, go ahead and subscribe. Please subscribe.
Also, Charles, if you would allow me to share my screen, let me do a brief overview of the onboarding system that we have. And I have to tell you, Cheryl, that a lot of the information will be uploaded for you if you use this system, and it is not expensive. What I can do for you is we can talk offline, or for anybody who is interested in this. Okay, so this is the onboarding system, and basically what it does is it allows you to have the employee fill out the form. Okay, so when you get to the first page, there's that option to upload the employee and add them. And if you have onboarding, you'll have two choices. You can use the new hire wizard like Charles mentioned, or you can use onboarding. If you do, it will cause you to put in it's a W-2 employee. It will automatically add the next employee number for you. You will fill out whatever red stars you want to. We can set it up to a place where you can only have to fill in their name and address. But we suggest that you fill out their name, their not their social security number, put all nines in there so that if they make a mistake, it's on them, not you. And then their date of birth and the zip code. Once that's done, they receive a link. And that link will cause them to go to the onboarding system so that they can start onboarding themselves. So we've already filled out their name, their address, and some of the information, and then they'll see to do the next step. And so once they've verified that you entered the information correctly, they go to the next slide. They can add their dependents, and that's really a good thing if you ever decide to do employee benefits, and shameless plug, we do that. But you at least would have that information already at hand when we ask you for a census of your employees. And then the next thing they'll do would be their tax forms. And this is where they actually fill out the W-4 and the DE-4, and they can have a look at it by going to this little magnifying glass to see if they completed it correctly. They don't sign it yet. This is just where they complete it. And then the same for the DE-4, same idea. And then they go to the direct deposit where they actually fill in their own information. And then you don't need to worry about that. We do suggest that you ask the employee to provide you with some sort of bank proof so that you can double check to make sure that it's correct, that, no typos were there. Though there is a foolproof, you have to enter the account number 2 times. And that kind of helps make it sure that it's accurate, because once a check goes into the wrong account, it's unlikely they'll get that money back. So we want to make sure that's accurate. And then the next thing is emergency contacts. We suggest they have at least 2 in case one person is not available. If something bad happens, you want to be able to get a hold of somebody. Then the next thing, this is the I-9 section, which is the big deal, because the I-9 is required for anyone who hires even one employee. And this is where they can fill it out online. They click the designation that they are. This side will change in accordance with whatever they click. Right now, the citizen of the U.S., and these are the required documents to prove their ability to work in the U.S. If they are an exchange student, this will change because this is a slide, I can't change it, but it will change whatever requirements are here, like a student visa or things like that. So you would know exactly what you need to get in order to be able to authorize their ability to work here. They can also view it to make sure that they did the right thing. And then the next thing they do is if you have any particular documents for your company, you can upload the employee handbook. Say you have a safety policy, they can upload that and have to sign that. Or whatever you've got. Maybe you've got a confidentiality agreement, or maybe there's a time off agreement that you want them to acknowledge that they've seen, and we can put it in here and have them e-sign it. Another thing is we can put in the California anti-harassment training if you want, a link there, and that way your new hires are all set. You don't need to worry about remembering to get them on board. So we can do a lot for you. And then we teach you how to add new documents if something changes in your company. So we teach you how to fish, right? Then the next thing that happens is you'll get a notification that the onboarded employee has filled out their form, and you need to go in and take care of the I-9. Well, guess where that is? That is in, let me go into Dash.
Quick question on the I-9.
Yeah.
I know for years, we were always told you have to have a folder with the I-9s all in it for all your employees.
Yeah,
Do you no longer have to do that if they're in here?
correct. So
Okay.
once this is done, you'll go to your account where the documents are, and the I-9s will be right here.
Right.
And I'll pull up a sample. I'll just pull up Jody, and you'll see that Jody has completed her part. And better yet, she signed it, and you have a date and a timestamp that it was signed. Then you go to your part, and this is already filled out as to what she is proving for you, because it was based on what she clicked when she did the onboarding. And then this is all filled out for you. And when you sign it, it'll have a date and timestamp for you too. Then if you ever get audited, you'll be able to go to this tab and print out all the I-9s for the auditor, so that that's all they get. You're not giving them an entire employee file or that red notebook that other companies have. Is this password protected? It's not in an unlocked file cabinet, or if you're working from home, it's not on your dining room table. So that's a real brief overview of onboarding. And if you want to go more in depth, you want to know a little bit more about it, please let me know. My email is in the chat, but I'm going to stop sharing right now. But that gives you the chance.
So it would probably also make sense, given the fact that all of my employees are like minimum of like 8 years with me. So I have paper on all of them. They could go in now and actually fill out their I-9s online.
No,
An existing employee?
Yeah, new employees. And the reason for that is the I-9 changed in November. And the Homeland Security, do not want you to update the I-9 for employees who have already been certified. They only want you to use the new I-9 form for brand new employees going forward. So that was stipulated to us by Linda Duffy, who held a seminar for us at the beginning of the year. You might want to go back and find that YouTube. I think it's uploaded on Vimeo. She explained what the changes were in the I-9 and what you should and should not do so that you're still in compliance. Because remember we were verifying people by video on chat. And so they were requiring that you go back and recertify their ability. And they kind of wiggled out of that and backtracked a little bit. And Linda explains it much better than I can. So I think that if you wouldn't mind, go to Linda's latest seminar. I think it was January the 13th that we had her, or the 18th, maybe January the 18th, I think it was. And you'll be able to get that video. I can also, if you can't find it there, let me know, and I've got it in my archives. Okay, I'll send it to you.
One of the other things about the onboarding services, as you go through, not only do you have an I-9 placed specifically in a secured section of Dash, separate from everything else, but all those forms that the employees fill out are also saved in Dash. So, which is a nice way to organize your employees' information. Because I don't know if anybody else has ever seen the movie Dodgeball, but the main character, his idea of keeping his filing was to shove everything into an open closet. You don't want to do that when you need to. You don't want to do that when you need to have documents available, and those documents are saved in Dash under the HR section for these employees when they sign up. So we're talking about all these different services, employee self-service, onboarding, all that kind of stuff. It's like these different tools, print back even, different tools to make your job easier and more efficient.
One of the things to add that I forgot to mention, Cheryl, and the rest of you who are listening, is when the employee fills out the additional information that you didn't do when you were just sending them the link, that populates Dash in real time. So when you go in to add that employee and do the things that you would do, you just need to clean it up. You add their position, their wages, their department, the things like that. So you don't need to worry about all that time that you're spending and all the different tabs, because it primarily is done for you when they do the onboarding electronically. So Cheryl, that'll save you some time.
The other thing is for the employee wizard, we do have some editing capability on that to like include certain things that you would fill out, like email addresses and so forth. We can tell the system whether or not to make that required or optional as you're entering them. So if you wanted to have the W-2, I'm sorry, not the W-2, workers' comp codes attached when you're hiring somebody, we can make sure that that field is there as you're adding them and that it can be even required. So things like that can be done with the wizard itself. Now, the onboarding is great, but the regular employee wizard is also got some cool features as well. My personal is I would go with the onboarding simply because it's a great way to manage your filing, and it's also helpful because nowadays we are dealing with people who are working all over the country, and it's just an easy way to get that when you're actually looking for the best candidate. And if the best candidate happens to be in Chicago, well, there you go.
Yeah, they don't have to print and scan and sign and print and scan and sign, right? It just goes by a link. So hopefully that helped you. And my email address is in the chat. So if you would like a more in-depth review of that, I'm happy to do that for you. And I will make myself available just to make it happen. Okay. All right. Are there any other questions that we can answer for you or anything else we can show you? Our core values are compliance, ease, and care. So first of all, we want to make you sure that your company is compliant, thus the I-9. And we also want to make it easy for you. And we absolutely care. So that's why we are here with these webinars.
Definitely.
All right. Any questions, anybody? Okay, let's talk about things to come. Next week, we are going to be doing questions and answers. Cheryl was it Sharon who did that? Sharon, yes. Yeah, Sharon made a suggestion that we have an open forum where you can ask us anything, almost. And so Charles and I will be here to answer those questions. And if you think of questions during the course of your workday, write them down so that you don't forget. So we're hoping to be able to run the gamut for you, and hopefully you'll get some of the questions that you've been thinking about and forget to ask during that session. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. We hope you found the information useful, and we are very, very pleased and thankful that you are part of our PayrollCentric family. Goodbye for now.